As a child has the idea of half, then we want to progress to 50%. And 50% is exactly the same thing as half. One of the problems that children have later on is that they get intimidated by things like percents. I taught elementary school for many years, and I noticed that students, even in 5th and 6th grade, sometimes are intimidated by what's 50% of a number. And they're not really, they're not fluent in the idea that 50% of a number is just half of the number. So you could ask a 6th grader, what's 50% of 6? And they know that half of 6 is 3, but they don't know that 50% of 6 is 3. So exchanging 50% for half is a very good way to help your child build that kind of math sense. So what I like to do is to ask the child, what's 50%? And then you want to, after you've done it with objects, you want to start to work with numbers, all right? And so for 50% of numbers, I would give my child a number of objects. For instance, I'm going to give her 6 Lincoln cubes, and I'm going to ask her to give me, to divide 50%, these Lincoln cubes into 50%. Can you divide them into 50%? Yeah. Make 2 piles. Right. So what's 50% of 6?
3.
Right. She can see that one pile is 3. So when they can divide a group of objects into half, they can find 50% of those numbers easily. So it's important to work with easy numbers for a while. Okay, don't be in a big hurry, but regularly, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, just ask your child, what's 50% of 4? What's 50% of 6? What's 50% of 8? After objects, they can work to their fingers, all right? And so if, Sophia, can you help me here with this? We're going to do 50% of 8. Can you show me 8 on your fingers? Okay, show the camera there. You're looking, all right? Oh, wait, do where you started. Go back to where you started. All right, so she has 8. Go back. She has 8 fingers, all right? Now, it's not so easily to see that that way of doing 8 is 50%, but if she changes it to 4 and 4, you can see both sides are exactly the same. So 50% of 8 is
4.
Right? 50% of 8 is 4. Okay? So if you ask a child what's 50% of 6, if they do 6 on their hands like this, can you do 6 on your fingers, please? All right? And then if they make both sides the same, it's 3 and 3. 50% of 6 is 3. And then we can do one more thing I want to add. I'm going to draw some circles for Sophia. So I drew 4 circles. And I'm going to ask Sophia to put a line in the middle. Can you put a line in the middle of those 4 circles? All right. Thank you. And you can see that she was able to. And that line divides it in half. So what's 50% of 4, Sophia?
2.
All right. So we can see that 50% of 4 is 2. So you're going to work with those easy numbers, 10 or less, 10, 8, 6, and 4, even numbers only. Odd numbers are a step harder, and we'll look at that in another video, all right? But get them used to doing 50% of those even numbers, less than 10, and then work with numbers that are pretty common that they may experience, all right? For instance, the numbers 20, 40, 50, and 100 often children know about. They know about 50. From 50 cents or 50 centavos, half of 50 cents is 25 cents. Okay, they may know half of $1 is 50 cents or half of a peso is 50 centavos. So they, whatever numbers they have exposure to are good to work with. Okay, so you can ask a child, what's 50% of 40? Sophia, do you know what 50% of 40 is? Yeah, 50% of 40 is 20, right? You know 50% of 50? What's half of 50?
10.
Nope. Try again. 50% of 50 is 25.
Oh, yeah!
25 plus 25 is 50.
Yeah.
And as they start to learn their addition facts, When they start to know and understand that 6 plus 6 is 12, then they can start to do what's 50% of 12. 50% of 12 is 6, all right? So you're looking at going to higher numbers, but do that a lot later. It's really important they just get that idea of 50%. It will really build a foundation so that when they have to do percent problems later on, they will not be intimidated. They will actually feel fairly confident that they have some understanding of percents. All right? So thank you for joining us. Sophia, we're going to finish for today. All right? You want to say bye?
Bye.